justify why a stationary monitor would be beneficial. Mayor Grove said that they could definitely reach out to them in regards to a stationary air monitor. Alderman Crane asked if the city of LaSalle is doing what they should be or can be doing to make things better for the residents. Mrs. Marshall stated that her first recommendation would be to listen to the residents genuinely and take them seriously the first time. The city should be identifying organizations and or trusted sources of information and bringing them in just like they did with Sierra Club. She also recommended that there may be an opportunity to create a health-focused town hall where there is an outside pediatrician, veterinarian, or someone who has worked on metals like this. Travick Pointer has a letter drafted and ready to send out to about 6 or 7 different EPA divisions with a litany of issues that she has with Karis. Besides the fire, she feels that Karis does not have a good emergency response plan in place and the fact that they are sending their waste to their own landfill in Ottawa. She thinks that the city is doing a good job by at least having these meetings and listening to their people. Mayor Grove asked if she was referencing Karis's emergency plan. Mayor Grove stated that they have been in contact with them and they have encouraged them to come out and talk to the council and the residents. Mayor stated that the city does not have the authority to demand anyone attend a meeting and have been told by the government that the city may be reimbursed for damaged equipment during the fire but also may not be reimbursed. One resident mentioned that historically Karis has been disappointing to this entire community and the surrounding area. Comments. Mayor Grove asked if there was any other discussion on this topic. Mr. Jamie Hicks asked to speak. Hicks mentioned that he has video of purple magnesium or permanganate all over the ground up behind the plant. Mrs. Dawn Hicks shared photos with the council of this. Hicks stated that the video is on his Facebook. He believes that they are clearly hiding something. They have pump bottles by their side and with some guys wearing Tyvek suits and some are wearing masks. He also has pictures of 2 guys with spray bottles, spraying it before it goes into the city sewer. Hicks was told that the product takes the purple and that it does not need to neutralize. He gives the person credit for taking this video because they were cut off by a truck and they did want her to see them. Street sweeper. Mrs. Dawn Hicks mentioned it was her who took the photos. She stated how the photos were taken off her cell phone and the brightness of the color and the extent of the color was actually more in real life than what the pictures are showing. She felt it was necessary to share these photos because no one has asked for this proof since they have mentioned many incidents. She wanted to prove that they were not lying or blowing smoke. Hicks stated that they have felt like the city has turned their back on them because the city's partnership with Karis is important. She mentioned how people are going into the hospital with health issues that they've never had before, not to the extent they have had. She also mentioned how the animals that the vets don't know what to look for. She thought maybe sharing pictures would be a little more helpful to share with the city council. Jamie Hicks mentioned taking a video of the city street sweeper being up by Karis and helping them clean the mess up. Hicks stated that after they were plumed by the fire, their roads were black. They asked the city to come up, but no one came to do their streets. He is wondering why it's convenient for Karis to use the city's equipment when now those pieces have sick stuff in it. But or lies. Deputy.
Okay, they came up and cleaned the spill up for Karis Chemical. The day of the fire on 111, they refused to come up here and clean our black streets with that granular material in our roads.
Clerk Bader mentioned that when the city found out about what was going on, he reached out to the EPA, both.
No, these are the beginning of Bader lies. We're going to slow it down just a tad. These are the Bader lies. We're starting off. Now, people remember, I don't think they remember what they said, because they were all lies. See, you can't keep track of a fucking lie. You can't do it, people.
Federal and state, and also reached out to both county and state health departments to report to them. Spill lie 1. Hicks asked if Karis reported or the city. Bader mentioned that he did. Hicks stated that this is the problem because Karis is supposed to report a spill. Bader stated that Karis did call the city and Bader then called the other agencies. Hicks wants to know how Karis does respond and take care of a spill. He asked if they used that special spray on it. He also stated that whatever the spray smelled horrible. It was so very strong and very pungent. Bureau of Land now? Brent never mentioned that. Mayor Grove
Okay, now Mayor Grove's going to go in and talk about how they contacted, or he called the Bureau of Land and they told him, just clean it up. That is not the Bureau of Land's job. That is the city's job or is it Karis's job to contact the right agencies like IEPA and hazmat teams to come clean up the spill in the neighborhood.
Mentioned how today's response.
Why would you have a company clean up the spills? That makes no sense.
This was unbelievable, and he would have assumed it would have had many safeguards after everything that has happened. He mentioned how the city did call the Bureau of Land. The city is trying to retrieve that video of the product squirting from the hose. It only happened for a brief moment, but it was about 20 gallons. They were told by the Bureau of Land to go ahead with the cleaner and get it off the city right away. Backtrack now.
Go ahead with the cleaner. Wow. Now we're going to backtrack a little bit because, he already stated one thing. Now he's got to get his facts straight because he probably got a text from the PR firm who's upstairs in the city chambers. Yeah, they probably got them new chairs. They threw all the old chairs out and probably got them PR guys a nice comfy spots up there so they can listen in on our fucking meetings.
Deputy Clerk Bader stated that the EPA was aware of that spill. They claimed at the time when the city called that at that point it would not be harmful after having been treated. Jamie Hicks asked if there was a number to call for a chemical spill or a rollover. Bader mentioned, for this case, that he reached out to the EPA and the Department of Health, both state and county. He mentioned that all 4 organizations were notified of what happened today. Hicks mentioned that the only way they were exposed was because of...
Now, he reached out to how many people? I bet he did. Not. No agency has any reports on this, people. That's a fact. I FOIA'd EPA, IEPA, I FOIA'd the city, I FOIA'd everybody. Nobody has anything on this cleanup. And we'll get to that later.
Some of their cameras. Bader told Hicks that he misunderstood him earlier. Karras did report to Bader and the EPAs as well. However, Bader took the next step of calling the EPAs and the health departments himself to ensure they were notified. Hicks stated that he will FOIA that information. Bader stated that they were phone calls. Mayor Grove...
Of course there are phone calls because they know that I'm FOIAing at this point and they're getting scared.
Stated that the spill today was unacceptable. The spill was not from the plant, it was from the ponds that they are cleaning out on their property.
Even more.
Don Hicks was curious as to what time Karras called the city. Bader was unsure of an exact time. He remembers it to be in the morning. He also believed that they had cleaned it up by that point. Bader said that the city did send Jerry and Patrick over there as soon as we were notified.
Now they're talking about Jerry Bassador, the one and only, who was supposed to be in charge of these facilities and failed us before his retirement. And Patrick.
Apollo Warehouse. Fire alarm 27.
Now we're going to go into an Apollo Warehouse. We had a fire alarm going off here on 27, 28, 29. It went off late in the evening, around 9 o'clock on 2-7. On 2-8, we pretty much woke up to it. I decided, after I found out what was going on, I called it in to my alderman, because I told the fucking city guy he should resign.
-2/8-2/9. Mr. Hicks asked the city why their streets were never cleaned with a street sweeper when they asked the city to do so. Hicks' other issue is with the Karras Chemical newspaper article. The article stated they put cameras up now to make it safe, which they shouldn't have had before. Hicks also mentioned how the fire alarm went off more than just one night and how it only went to the Karras control panel. He stated that it did not go to the fire chief station. Hicks has FOIAs to prove that the alarms went to the Karras control panel. He is very concerned about this. He also mentioned that what he is reading, it is saying that everything is up to code. He states that they are not. They are going to continue to go by the Tier 2 inventory report, and still use the warehouse for storage of 8 chemicals. Mayor...
This was their goal, people. Karras did not want to shut this plant down. What they wanted to do was get it armed and guarded like it was supposed to be, and still sneak their chemicals back there. Remember, they called it product. Remember that. Product.
Grove mentioned that they were told that they would be emptying it out. Mr. Hicks asked on record if the fire chief, who has every right, to go in right now with a video camera. Mayor Grove wanted Mr. Hicks and others to know that the police officers do not have body cameras. Hicks was surprised because he thought everyone was supposed to have them by January 1st. Sergeant
Zebron went into this building on 25th of January because all I was doing was videotaping. He came back out of the building. He said, they're hauling I said potassium permanganate. He said, and a lot of other sneaky stuff. Something's not right in there. Nobody stopped these people. They escorted them. Police escorted these guys, knowing they were hauling potassium permanganate without placards on their trucks.
Zebron Papapo potassium permanganate. Hicks mentioned for Zebron to show up and he could look Hicks in the eyes and tell him what he saw in that building. Hicks mentioned how he saw plastic stuff hidden under and how it's mysterious. Hicks asked for the mayor to make sure that he never sees that facility up and running or a semi again. He also asked to make sure Fire Chief Yannick gets in there. He stated that Yannick knew of the Apollo on the 25th of January. Hicks has an email, on the 25th, to Bader mentioning that he knew it was the Apollo. Hicks asked for Fire Chief Yannick's resignation. Mayor Grove said that will not happen. Hicks stated that you hired him. You fire him. Hicks mentioned how he has many lies and many city members knew of the Tier 2 facility. Hicks stated how Karras abused the law. The city allowed them to do it, and the city put the signs up. Hicks has it all in his emails from 2017. Mayor Grove stated how Hicks' concerns then were of the truck traffic.
Now everybody knows that follows me. I have posted my emails. My concerns were not just truck traffic. My concerns were, what were they hauling? What was in the truck? What's going on? What's in the building? I was told in 2017...
Hicks stated that Brownfield didn't take the right steps in the first place. He also mentioned how Karras is twisting the media and they did hire a PR firm. Hicks stated that many people are talking and he doesn't even know what to do with all the information that he has. Hicks is upset because with the filter tests and the soil sample tests so far, he He is trying to figure out if they have been dumping stuff on the city the whole time or it came from the fire. Hicks wants to speak with Attorney McFedrin about zoning and how that place got zoned and how we can work on getting it rezoned. Hicks wants to know when the police and the fire department with Jordan Crane go through the warehouse and videotape it. He does not believe it to be empty. Hicks was upset with Yannick and Bader that they knew it was the Apollo building and they didn't mention it was the Apollo building. He stated that Bader's words were in an email. Deputy Clerk Bader stated that he did inform Jamie of the Apollo building. Bader learned about it by searching a link which he shared with Hicks. Hicks states that Yannick sent Bader the actual words, what it was called and what it is. Hicks stated that Yannick could have saved himself the embarrassment if he would have read the Tier 2 report. Alderman Crane asked if the city can legally camera in the building or does the city need a search warrant.
Now, why would you need a search warrant, people, to inspect a building for fire codes and safety violations? That's wrong. They're covering it up. They're buying more time for Cares Chemical, people.
Warrant. Do what? Mayor Grove said that the city can go in to do a structural engineering check. On April...
Let's remember, this is March 6th meeting. I've been asking since the end of January, and they didn't go until 4/20.
20th. McFedrin stated that through the Illinois Chemical Safety Act pretty much empowers for the most part, and it appears that the enforcement mechanisms there are through the EPA and the IDMA, as far as what the city's resources will be. Not true.
That is not true. The city has a lot of control over this facility. They control a lot of permits, ordinances, so on. They control the water. They control everything. Without the city, that plant would not be here in this town running. Without their support. These are facts, people. Facts.
True. Hicks stated that he has it in writing from LaSalle County and the city is in charge of inspections. Hicks mentioned that he contacted the mayor when he saw work being done and asked if it was permanent. That was when they were putting the fire alarm and smoke detection system in. Fact. Mayor Grove mentioned that all comments can be FOIA'd by any kind of litigation for or against. He wanted to remind all to know what they are talking about. Schneider stated that he did question what...
Now, Mr. FOIA, man, they're hiding stuff. He's starting to refuse FOIAs. He's been refusing me for a long time now. He's telling me I'm asking for too many. He's back and forth. Mayor Grove, you're a liar.
The vacant warehouse was able to be used as a storage facility for their product and has never been taxed as a storage facility. This storage facility is 3 blocks away from the Karis plant. Mayor did mention contacting the assessor's office and they said it doesn't matter what's in it or not, but it goes by the footprint of the building. Mayor Grove could not confirm whether or not it had a different address.
No, that's not true. I can bet and guarantee your ass a damn nuclear power plant gets taxed more than a standard warehouse. So there is differences. And Miss Walters will get to that.
He confirmed with the assessor's office that they go by the footprint and not what is housed in the building. Did you? Mrs. Walters stated that she understood it as a vacant building as something like that has boarded up windows and probably is unfinished on the inside.
Now, Miss Walters is a realtor. Just to let everybody know that doesn't know that.
Tier 2 facility would have extra electricity or may have more camera systems. It may have a fire system and all things that go into assessment of a building. She states that it is not just the footprint. Alderman Crane stated that he personally, or even the men that he does trust up here, knew what that building was. He stated that Bader looked back at some of the zoning for it. It was zoned for this use as early as 19...
Now remember, I asked for any information on the Apollo building. They told me they had none. But here, they found zoning stuff as early as 1952. What did they find before that? Or after?
52. But told me you had nothing on this building. Chenier asked if it was okay to be a part storage building with boarded up windows and holes in the roof. Alderman Crane stated that it would not be okay and one would definitely receive a fine. Never got fined for nothing. From ease of...
Fact, people. They never got a fine for nothing. They got escorted. Emptied the building 3 times, maybe even 4. The 4th time, they finally emptied it.
Emptying the Apollo. McFedrin stated that from the first zoning ordinance that the city enacted was already zoned manufacturing, which makes it a whole different ballgame than what Ottawa had. In part of the city's due diligence, McFedrin also discussed with Ottawa's city attorney and they have indicated they're willing to work with the city also in the best interest of residents of both cities.
Okay, so now you got Ottawa attorney and you got LaSalle attorney working together. Pretty interesting.
The city is trying to explore everything that they do have and they do not have all the answers. Mayor Grove mentioned that within the 2 weeks that the city committed to, they will make sure the building is empty. Don Hicks reminded the mayor that the 2 weeks are over tomorrow.
That's right. Don Hicks reminded the mayor that them 2 weeks that they were promised to us was over tomorrow. That would have been the 6th. It would have been the 7th, March 7th.
This means nothing. McFedrin mentioned how the mayor also indicated that we are going to investigate the building aspect too. On April 20th, when they finally hauled everything out, Brianne's tests results.
On April 20th, they finally investigated the building people. They had hauled everything out of there, except for the machine parts. Machine parts. They got the chemicals out of there.
Mayor Grove actually was for no testing because he wanted to see what Brianne.
Now we're going to get into the testing. And Marty Schneider asked why Mayor Grove didn't want to do no more testing. And here is his excuse, and we'll get into that.
Results came back first. Mayor acknowledged an obvious change from a yard prior to the explosion to not. He feels that maybe they need to look at doing more. Mayor did have one resident reach out to him because he heard Jamie did not want to share the filter results. He is glad that the results were passed on to Lance Yednick because he directs the Illinois.
Right there. He directs the Illinois EPA, Lance Yednick. Why didn't we get no help? I wonder why. And also, yes, I refuse to give the mayor them filter tests. I paid for quite a few of them tests out of my pocket for the people in this town. What have you done for us, Mayor? What have you done? You didn't deserve to have them tests. The appropriate channels deserve to have them. Because all you did was use them against us and deny us the facts of the matter.
Illinois EPA. They can have the authority to tell a group that they need to do this to make something right. Lance directs the IEPA quote. Hicks was
It's a quote. It's quoted. Lance directs the IEPA. Quoted.
Sure if Brian Brown had shared any test results from his daughter's yard. The section of yard that he is reporting on has her garden, fire pit, and where her dog runs. Her lead counts went from the EPA 2020 report from 270 to 2,000. The cadmium went from 32 to 50. The zinc was 3.9 and went up to 5.17. Magnesium 720 to 1,640. Potassium is at 3,120, but EPA didn't have a number of first time when they reported. Mayor Grove states that they do have these results and numbers and now the EPA has those numbers. Hicks is trying to figure out why on March 6th, they are still taking soil samples and still trying to figure out what's going on in people's houses.
I'm stating that because it's been months now after the fire and we're still trying to figure out soil samples because it's called delay.
Stated that the city is trying to do something to help by taking her first results and then they just took the time to get the second results to have a comparison of before the fire. Mayor stated that the city can do unlimited things, but he didn't think it made sense until they found out what they did from Brianne's yard. Mayor Grove also said that he will continue to follow up with Lance Yednick because he now has the same information as the city and he is going to direct it to the right people. Mayor Grove would love to see someone from Caris come forward and say that they have seen this but they will not. The city does have Brianne's results and they did all agree to do the further testing. The city wants to keep doing what they can to continue on.
Well, they did have my daughter's tests and they covered it right up. The test did nothing for us, people. They got Collier Deminar to lie and say some bullshit. So they did us no good.
Cover IT write up the test DID nothing. Hicks wants to make sure a city employee is with them. He stated that when they came to take 4 samples from his daughter's house they only ended up with 3 samples. Alderman Crane mentioned that they will arrange for an employee to be present. Hicks is unsure what happened because he spoke with Brian about it and for some reason he only did 3. Hicks remembers it being stated in the meeting that they were going to go according to the EPA tests. The way that they tested them was in 4 sections, and he only got 3. Bader was...
See, people, I know what's going on. I know what they do in these yards. I get my information and I use it. And they're trying to snowball us here for some odd reason.
Unsure the whole history behind that, but they are going back for the 4th. Mayor BS. The mayor stated that the city would not be having these meetings if they didn't care. Mayor Grove mentioned how other communities give the public a minute to speak. The city of LaSalle.
That's not true. Other places they get 3 minutes. That I think is the lowest. He made a new ordinance up to keep me quiet. I call it the Jamie Hicks ordinance. You can call it what you want. It's all called timing. The timing of the ordinance and all that was the evidence of what he was up to. And he was the creator of that ordinance.
Al is not doing that or wants to do that. Until the new ordinance to keep me quiet. Mayor Grove mentioned how their board of directors members are not from LaSalle, Peru. He did state that 90% of the people that work there do live in LaSalle, Peru. He hopes that those workers, as local residents, do not work at a plant that they feel is unsafe for neighborhoods. He does not want to see the families that he does know that work there, work at a place where they think it is unsafe. Mayor
Grove's acting like he cares about the people that work in that plant. He knows goddamn good and well what goes on in there, and you can ask any fireman and any fire chief, anybody that's ever been in that plant. Purple shit blowing around everywhere, people. Everywhere.
Grove mentioned that it is also used to help clean water. Mayor Grove stated that it is his own personal opinion, but he felt that today information was brought forward that was actually backed up by proof and not hearsay. The city had the fact.
Hearsay. He's talking about the things I've been saying. I've been stating laws and facts and giving him the information, and they're not listening to me. Still, 7 months later.
From Brienne samples to show 2 different measurements in 2 different times. One from the original baseline and a baseline after exposure. They also have the information from the air filters, and it has been directed to EPA. He feels that this has all been a positive thing for everybody in this room and the city. Mayor stated how when a company tells you that this is what they are testing for, this is what the city would test for. Mayor stated that one thing that he did learn from this is to trust, but
trust and verify, people. Oh my God, are you serious? Trust but verify. Is he reading the paper? Does he read the stuff he writes? Does he read the quotes that he gives? Trust and but verify. You ain't verified shit. I'm the trust and verification man.
Verify. Mayor stated that at the time the concern that was brought up was about the truck traffic and the damage to the roads in your yards. Mayor stated that fortunately that nothing did happen and the city will make sure that doesn't happen there anymore. That was a byproduct of this whole fire and the residents bringing things forward and for the city to learn as they go too.
Yep. We tried to teach them. We tried to let them learn. And they rode with Karras' PR firm and snowballed us, people.
Mayor Grove was told that the concentration is so diluted at the time that it's not going to be an issue. Hicks stated that the city was told this by Karras. Grove mentioned that they were told this by the EPA.
No, they were told by Karras. EPA, this is standard protocol for chemical companies, for the EPA to look to them for answers.
Stated that in the initial testing they did check the numbers, looked for fish kill, and checked the levels in the Little Vermilion. They never checked. She said that if it does...
They never did check for fish kill, people. By the time DNR got here, it was dark. They never went back there. They even say in a report that they should not put that they're monitoring the river because there's nobody monitoring it. We all seen the pictures. You can't deny that.
Go into the oxidation process. It is no good for nobody.
This came from the Sierra Club, people. This is not a joke. This is from our meeting, and I'm only giving you a portion of it. The Brienne, my daughter's test, the Apollo, what was in the Apollo, fire alarm, and Bader backtracking about a spill. He's pretty good at backtracking. He's got to cover his ass. But there's more, people. I have a lot more to this, but we're only going to stay with this portion at this time. Educate yourself, people. Please share this information. This is no joke. This company is controlling this town. It's small town, big time corruption. Big corporate taking over the little man. And we need to hold them accountable. And whoever else is involved. Keep up with me now, people. Keep up with me. Till next time, don't let this shit bother you. Get out and do something.